Greetings to my channel. In today's update, I urge you to kindly consider subscribing. In Mali, the junta remains in control for an additional 3 years as suggested by participants in the national dialogue, aiming to prolong the democratic transition. This extension would potentially enable Assimi Goïta, the leader of the ruling military junta, to participate in forthcoming elections. The extensive national discussions, largely shunned by the opposition, produced several suggestions, notably elongating the transition period from 2 to 5 years, effectively prolonging the junta's governance until 2027. Despite committing to a democratic transition by March 2024 following consecutive coups in 2020 and 2021, the military's failure to adhere to the promised timeline for restoring constitutional order has heightened tensions within the country. On May 24th, interim President Ba NL, along with his Prime Minister Moctar Ouane and several other Malian officials, were detained and transported to the Kati military camp near Bamako, the capital. Their arrest followed the formation of a new government after prolonged and contentious negotiations, which notably excluded Colonel Sadio Camara and Modibo Kon, former ministers of defense and security, respectively. These colonels were key figures in the previous National Committee for the Salvation of the People (CNSP), which orchestrated the coup d'état on August 18, 2020 and officially disbanded in January 2021. Following the arrests, Colonel Assimi Goïta, former head of the CNSP and current vice president, declared on national television that he was stripping the president and prime minister of their powers. He accused them of incompetence and of forming a new government without consulting him, in violation of the transitional charter. Despite negotiations which likely took some time, the charter from September 2020 grants Goïta authority in defense and security matters, but not the power to suspend the president or prime minister. Thus, the actions of the ex-CNSP officers amount to an attempted coup to regain control of a transition slipping from their grasp. Before the coup, tensions had escalated between the ex-CNSP figures and President NN and Prime Minister Ouane. The latter aimed to establish a more inclusive government to foster unity amid social tensions, including a general strike. NL and Ouane also sought to limit the ex-CNSP's significant influence over transitional institutions, which, according to sources consulted by Crisis Group, greatly restricted the head of government's autonomy. The current friction between the civilian transitional government and former members of the CNSP bears a striking resemblance to past events, notably the ousting of Prime Minister Cheikh Modibo Diarra in December 2012 following a coup against President Amadou Toure by lower-ranking officers. Despite being once hailed as enlightened by Western officials, the behavior of ex-CNSP officers now mirrors that of the non-commissioned officers who seized power in 2012. Mali appears to be regressing ominously, echoing a troubling return to its starting point. The recurring political turmoil in Mali erodes the government's legitimacy amid multiple insurgencies, making the prospect of its effective return to conflict areas increasingly doubtful. This vacuum allows jihadists and other armed groups to position themselves as viable alternatives. Moreover, the ongoing crisis threatens to undermine confidence in the 2015 Inter-Malian Peace Accord as key security and decentralization measures remain unfulfilled. While transitional authorities were once lauded for improved relations with armed factions, the current turmoil may lead some to reject a faltering government. This tension could escalate, especially as the M5RFP leadership potentially forming the next government includes individuals critical of the 2015 agreement. Since December 2023, a minimum of 4 organizations, including the nation's overarching student union, have been disbanded. These include Coordination des Mouvements, Associations et Sympathisants d'Imam Mahmoud Dicko CMA-SEN, Observatoire pour les élections et la bonne gouvernance au Mali. On December 20th, 2023, the transitional government dissolved Observatoire pour les élections et la bonne gouvernance, an elections monitoring and pro-democracy coalition. The government cited the group's failure to declare its funding sources to the authorities as required by law. Additionally, the president of the organization was accused of making statements likely to disrupt public order, such as predictions about the turnout figures for the proposed June 2023 referendum. Within 2 weeks, the military regime disbanded 3 more organizations, starting with the dissolution of the political group Renouveau on February 28th. This action was taken due to alleged defamatory and subversive remarks against the junta. A week later, on March 6, 2024, the military regime dissolved La Coordination des Mouvements, Associations et Sympathisants d'Imam Mahmoud Dicko, a coalition supporting the charismatic Muslim cleric Imam Dicko. He had mobilized public demonstrations that led to the military takeover, advocating for a civilian administration, which drew the junta's ire. The authorities claimed the group's activities pose a threat to public security, citing Imam Dicko's meetings with foreign officials during his stay in Algeria since January 2024. Exactly 1 week later, on March 13, 2024, the Council of Ministers dissolved the Pupils and Students Association of Mali (EEM), a significant organization representing school and university students. The government accused it of inciting disruptions, violence, and destruction of property during demonstrations, particularly referencing clashes on February 28 that resulted in a student's death. Despite the dissolution, a faction of the Association des Élèves Étudiants du Mali (AEM) has rejected the government's decision, asserting the importance of students' freedom of association. Additionally, the Synergie d'Action pour le Mali, a coalition advocating for a new political direction, has faced restrictions. While not dissolved, its activities have been banned in Bamako due to security concerns, effectively hampering its ability to function as Bamako serves as its headquarters and the country's political hub. Thank you for watching my video. I hope to see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to help my channel grow quickly.